Hi everyone, I've been an iPhone user pretty much my entire life, and currently I'm using the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But just recently, the Nothing Phone 3 was released and I got my hands on it. And as someone who's used iPhones pretty much forever, this phone actually feels really exciting. It's an Android phone, of course, yes, but it takes a very different approach, both in design and in the way the company tries to make tech feel more fun, more unique, and honestly, a bit more personal. So it caught my attention, and I've been following along with Nothing for the last few years, and I've been pretty impressed with their devices. But in this video, I want to give you my thoughts on the Nothing Phone 3 from the perspective of an iPhone user. So let's start out with the most obvious thing, of course, the design. I mean, this phone is just, it's weird, it's out there. It's been very polarizing, very controversial for sure, but personally, I'm kind of into it. Now, as much as I love the iPhone design currently, I think it looks great, it feels great. The last few years, the designs have all kind of blended together, for better or for worse. Then you pick up this phone and it looks and feels like totally different. It still feels solid and premium, but visually, it definitely stands out. You've got this asymmetrical camera setup, the transparent back that Nothing is known for, and of course the new glyph display, all that signature Nothing look wrapped into one device. And despite looking different, it still has all of the essentials. It has a massive 6.7-inch hole punch OLED display, water resistance, in-display fingerprint scanner, dual SIM, all that stuff. And it surprisingly feels very lightweight, but also premium at the same time, which is pretty good. Now back to the display, it's big, it's bright, it's colorful, it's OLED with excellent contrast, 120Hz refresh rate. It actually gets brighter than the iPhone 16 Pro Max's display at 4500 nits of peak brightness, which is pretty wild. But that being said, I still think the iPhone's display is much more color accurate, better quality honestly, and I prefer it for things like photo editing and watching content. But the Nothing Phone screen is genuinely impressive. Then there's of course the new glyph display on the back, which obviously is nothing groundbreaking or massively exciting and new, but it's fun. It's definitely not revolutionary, but it can show things like the time, battery percentage, let you set a timer, little things that don't require turning on the main display. It even works with custom contact notifications and different ringtones showing different images or animations. It's unique, it's playful, and in some ways might help you use your phone a little bit less. Like if someone's calling you don't want to talk to, you can just glance at the glyph display without picking it up and it'll show you basically your contact or a random ringtone animation. Is it a must-have? No. Is it a reason specifically to buy this phone? No, but it does this sort of second display in a way that very few other manufacturers are able to do. It just feels so integrated into the overall design. Apple's never going to put a second display on the back of the iPhone, you can quote me on that, they're never going to do it. And I mean, it's just fun to have here, I guess. Now, what's really kept me using an iPhone for the longest period of time is, of course, the cameras. I just love the colors, the consistency, the sharpness, and across all lenses, it looks really beautifully consistent. And on the Nothing Phone 3, the cameras are definitely better than previous Nothing devices, but they're just not quite on the level of the iPhone, Pixel, Galaxy, or other flagship Android devices. And photos are decent with the 350 megapixel cameras. You get a wide, ultra wide, and a 3x telephoto camera that uses some like AI magic to also do digital zoom as well. And the selfie camera is also 50 megapixels for some super detailed selfies. Now you can judge the photos for yourself and they're decent. I mean, sometimes they're great, other times they're just okay. Sometimes the highlights are completely blown out. Sometimes objects that you're taking a photo of are a little bit soft around the edges and just not super detailed. But overall it's pretty solid, and I do expect that Nothing will release updates over time as they have in the past, making the camera experience just a little bit better here and there. And for example, the camera system is missing things that I'm used to, like the ultra wide camera doesn't have autofocus, so you can't really bring it up close to subjects, but the telephoto camera does actually have a macro mode, which I wasn't really expecting, and it's pretty good. Now, video recording is also surprisingly pretty good here. It does 4K up to 60 frames per second, it's smooth, colors look nice, autofocus is solid. The audio quality could be a bit better, but video is pretty decent. I was actually kind of surprised. This is what video recording looks like from the front-facing camera on this device in 4K, and you're also hearing the microphones on this device as well. And it's all about the small things. The little red camera square actually lights up and blinks when you're recording a video. So that's the camera experience. Now, one of the biggest changes this year with the Nothing phone is they've pivoted more towards being a flagship higher-end device versus a low or mid-range as they have had in previous years. The price is definitely higher, it's not pro-level iPhone pricing, but now this phone starts at $800 USD. The phone is using the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 processor, which is sort of like a lower flagship, high-end mid-range processor, which is pretty good. The other phone I've used with this processor is the Poco F7, which is actually only priced at about $400, so you can kind of see why people might be a little bit upset about the processor choice with this device. But you're also getting 12 or 16 gigabytes of RAM and 256 or 512 gigabytes of storage. But besides all of the controversy of the processor, using this phone, it obviously feels very fast and very smooth. Multitasking feels great, everything feels nice and fluid here alongside that 120Hz display. Casual gaming is nice and smooth too. It's not going to be like a high-end gaming phone, it's not going to be the best for super high-end tasks, but for everyday use, of course, it holds up, like it's still a genuinely good processor. Now, of course, this phone does run Android with Nothing's OS on top, and it's actually really nice. From the font and icon design to the widgets, it's all beautifully done. It feels clean, it feels light, it feels well thought out, which I like to see on an Android phone. So many other Android manufacturers just take Android and throw so much onto it, like so many crazy icons, so many bloatware apps, things you're never going to use or touch, but Nothing here takes the basis of Android, adds some nice additions, some thoughtful choices, and I like that. They've also added some useful things like Essential Space, which gives you a dedicated button that takes screenshots or voice notes paired with screenshots and puts them all into one place so you can easily access them. There's also a new search bar that acts like a universal search across your phone and the internet and other different applications. And even the default apps are beautifully designed, clean, and minimal. There's a fun built-in newsreader, ChatGPT integration, which also works with Nothing's audio products, and those devices also pair really smoothly and have additional features built in. The Nothing ecosystem is definitely not on the level of the iPhone or even Samsung at this point, but at least they're trying to build somewhat of an ecosystem with devices that work very seamlessly together. Battery life is also a strong point here. You're getting a 5100 mAh battery or 5500 mAh if you're buying this from India, and I've had no trouble making it through a full day during my early testing. It charges fast, supports wireless charging and even reverse wireless charging, so you can top up your earbuds if they're Qi enabled. Okay, now when I hold this up next to my iPhone, the overall philosophy here is definitely very different. I love Apple, but they've definitely been playing it safe over the last few years. Meanwhile, Nothing is doing something different every single year, multiple times a year. Whether it's budget phones with swappable backs and different attachments, or now a more premium device with a very bold and weird design and some unique features. Yeah, there's something comforting about Apple's devices and their ecosystem. Everything just seems to work and be consistent. The cameras are reliable, the software just works, and the ecosystem is definitely unmatched. But Nothing isn't trying to copy that. They're not trying to be Apple, they're not trying to do everything Apple's doing. They're trying to be a bit different, a bit more unique, and that's going to bring some skepticism. It's going to bring different people not liking their devices, but at least it's good to see something fresh and new. So if you're looking for something a bit more unique when you're buying a new phone, you don't want it to be an iPhone, you don't really care about all the specifications and numbers, this phone is definitely a great option. It's got great battery life, solid performance, good enough cameras, and a software experience that feels playful and fresh, all in a design that feels actually different. And look, the phone isn't perfect, especially at its price point compared to the competition, but if I'm trying to buy a new phone that's not an iPhone, personally, I want something that's nothing like an iPhone, something very unique, very different, while still having all of the comforts that I expect with a new device. And that's pretty much it. I know this wasn't like a full in-depth review of the Nothing Phone 3, but personally, I didn't really want to do that. There are so many other great in-depth reviews of this phone out there, but I wanted to share my thoughts on this device. So let me know your thoughts on this phone in the comments down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you change if you could? Let me know. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and thank you for watching.